Hello everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you very much for joining me here today. We're taking a look at MBL. We're taking another closer look here. I've referenced this a while ago, as a matter of fact, and just recently things started to kind of take off and my community asked me to go ahead and reference this. So thank you very much for asking and providing me with that recommendation. Do appreciate that. Also note that I'm not a financial advisor. This is for educational purposes only. Always do your own research, and in case you're new to the channel, this is just a technical analysis. There's no fundamentals here. Feel free to comment below and let us know what's going on so we can all learn and grow together, right? But if you do have extra time on your hands, feel free to reference our Telegram community, my Discord channel, and even show your support through Patreon if you'd like. I've got some signal groups that I'm soon to start to release to help us find good entry points and to maximize our benefit in this crazy environment. Okay, so without further ado, let's go and check it out. All right, folks, let's go ahead and take a look at MBL. And if you're new to the channel, once more, just like to preface the fact that we always look at Bitcoin and Ethereum first, get a baseline in the market so we know what's going on, because it really helps to understand the correlation and the symbiotic nature of these coins with Bitcoin. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a quick look at Bitcoin first. Now, I always use, first of all, to preface, I always like to use Binance and the TradingView application within. Of course, I use TradingView outside of Binance, but most of the coins that I like to cover are actually included with Binance. So I just make it really easy. I use that here. That's what you're seeing. And on the top right-hand corner, you just click on TradingView to go ahead and enable this view outside of the original that they default to. This is a 4-hour chart on Bitcoin, and I actually have the 50 and the 200-day moving averages enabled. Those are essentially the most impactful moving averages on the 4-hour chart that you could use. And the 200-day moving average is essentially the largest, most important one that majority of traders, robots, etc. are going to be using. So pay attention to that at all times, but it's nowhere near at this point with the price action, so we don't need to worry about it. The 50-day moving average is trending closer to the price, so we may see that hit in the next few days, depending on how Bitcoin decides it wants to perform. It would be nice to see the price over the 50-day moving average, because the last time it did that, it stayed above for quite some time and did quite well. So we're hoping that it can come back and we can see at least a couple more months of bullish activity from Bitcoin. That being said, if we look here, just to clarify, we have a major resistance line at 42,300, and it touched just a moment ago, I would say maybe an hour or two ago, about 33,500 is a close approximate. So we could mark that. I'm getting tired of marking these support levels, but what the heck, why not, right? So other than that, not much else to note. RSI is extremely low. Volume is pretty high, likely because of all the selling off. And of course, MACD does imply that we are on a bearish sentiment. Big surprise there. So let's move on to Ethereum now. And to specify here with Ethereum, very similar scenario, only the difference is that the moving averages are in different, kind of the reverse order. So we do have the golden cross that's coming down here. So when the 50 moves in and intersects with the 200, they refer to that as a golden cross. And that's usually a good sign for potential upswing. That being said, I don't think there's a lot of validity there based on the fact that Bitcoin is controlling the market for the most part at this time, and Ethereum is mirroring it very close. Which is strange, kind of, because the fact that Ethereum usually outperforms Bitcoin when Bitcoin does poorly. Most people flock over to Ethereum, and that migration causes the price to increase. Haven't seen a lot of that. I do believe that ADA and a few other coins are absorbing that market capitalization. That being said, they have a strong strong resistance level at roughly 3,100, and the moving average, the 200-day moving average, is going to combine. So we might see all three of these hit soon. Create a super golden cross Death Star. There's a lot going on. I wouldn't worry about it too much, honestly. If Bitcoin decides it wants to go sideways, we might see the price come up. But again, we haven't been fortunate with Bitcoin staying very consistent lately, so it's hard to really say. All right, moving on to MBL. Let's go ahead and take a look here. And this is interesting, the way the price action has been moving, because it's performing fairly well if you compare it with Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a few others. So why don't we just go ahead and take a look at the one-day chart first, work our way down. And as you can see, MBL has been fairly repressed. And I'm sure some MBL holders are fairly depressed as a result of that. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Here's the great thing about this though. And again, the 200-day moving average on the 1-day chart isn't like super strong. The 4-hour chart I prefer, but great news is the price is bouncing off of the 200-day moving average, and we're looking at a good bounce back. So that's likely the reason for this recovery in price. But just bear in mind the price, the 200-day moving average is below and the 50 is above. Not much else to really extract here, minus the fact that the price action is increasing, seeing a slightly larger amount of volume. So it does look like with the MACD, it is telling us that the momentum has shifted, which is pretty obvious considering the last 48 hours. But generally speaking, the RSI is extremely low too. So there's a lot of room for improvement, a lot of room for growth right now for MBL. Again, it really just depends on how Bitcoin performs. If Bitcoin wants to continue to consolidate and possibly even increases, we should see a sharp increase from MBL. I think it'd be really good to see that. Moving on to the 4-hour chart. So 4-hour chart is, not bad actually. All things considered, we're looking pretty decent here. I like the amount of volume. It's pretty consistent overall. The price came down as low as what? 0.006. That's fairly low, but again, that hit that moving average on the 1-day chart. So I think we're in pretty good shape there. RSI is also fairly low too, so I would expect to see a little bit of growth. Only problem here is that there appears to be somewhat of a resistance level at 0.011. I maybe round up and say 0.012. So we can kind of just draw that line there. 0.012 does appear to be a major resistance. So we'll see what happens with that. It's been tested quite a few times and it was a previous support level as well. But it has been tested 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 6 times approximately in the last 4 days. So there's a chance, because again, the more often you test a resistance line, the more likely it is to break, right? So that is the case. If you continue to knock on the door, it will eventually open. So hopefully the price will jump above there, hold as a support, and continue upwards, because I do like this overall pattern and just the general momentum from MBL. Also, just note too, the 50-day moving average is being tested right now as a potential support. It could break above and hold above, but that is essentially working as a resistance right now. And the same with the 200, of course, trailing behind. So what would be really nice is for the price action to break above 0.012 and then to eventually consolidate a little further and break above 0.014, approximately at the 200-day moving average once it gets there. 15-minute chart. Let me go ahead and turn off I disable the 50 and the 200-day moving averages on the 15-minute chart because me personally it doesn't work phenomenally, as long as you understand that they're kind of support and resistance levels. Generally speaking, the VWAP and the EMA line are the most impactful in my opinion here. Now here's the crazy thing, if you see these two lines, the price has been jumping all over the place. So it's honestly difficult to get a read on a good entry point based on this volume and this type of volatility. These are like stalagmites and stalactites, right? It's kind of just going a little crazy. I like this kind of price action a lot better. I don't love severe price action, but what we can still do is try to identify a good entry point based on the moving averages, the EMA line, and the VWAP together. Traditionally, I'd like to identify that on the 50-minute chart, but honestly, this is such sporadic movement with really long wicks and candlesticks. I don't like it. Let's go to the 1-minute chart and see if we can find something better. Still pretty sporadic, but let me just go ahead and clarify something here for the most part. If you're new to just say my channel or these indicators, I just quickly explain the VWAP is a volume weighted average price. It takes the 24-hour volume and expresses it as a price, and it works as a consistent support and resistance level with the price action. So it's always very reliable. It's not a major support, major resistance level, but it works as a kind of a continuous support and resistance, right? Now it's my favorite indicator because it really helps you understand what side of the momentum you're on. So in this scenario here, even though the price is coming down, we are still on the bullish side of the VWAP, and that is a good sign because if the price comes down and bounces off VWAP and holds, then that tells us it's working as a support. So So we want to see that here. In fact, it might likely happen in the next 15 to 20 minutes because the price does appear to be correcting itself. Okay. Furthermore, this red line is the EMA line. So if you're new to that, that's the exponential moving average. It essentially works as a momentum indicator telling you what, it's similar in a lot of ways to the MACD, where it tells you what kind of momentum you have, but it's following along the price action instead of on its own plane. Okay, so that being said, if we look at this, right, just this example right here, that's a bearish, sentiment, right? It's bearish momentum coming down, comes up, it tests and holds above for a short while and loses again. So anytime you see the price action on one side or the other, it kind of tells you if it's bullish or bearish, right? And what you want to look for is confirmation that bounces off of that EMA line. And that's when you'd want to consider taking entry. So let me give you an example here, see if we can zoom in. So we look back here, right? We got this bullish trend, which is good. But if we identify here, simply put, the price jumped up, came off, and bounced off the EMA and kept it going up. That is essentially a bullish indicator, and this is confirmation right here in this range. Now I don't love this because it jumped up, got choppy here, and even though you got confirmation in this case, there's really only a small amount of green bars to rely on, and it went up. I would prefer to wait and then kind of look a little bit, but let's just go with this example, right? Let's just say you're planning to take entry at this point. What you want to look for is 3 solid green bars that gives you confirmation above the EMA. So once the price jumps above, you never take entry right here as soon as it jumps above because you don't know if it'll reverse, right? Because prior to that, it's making lower lows and lower highs. But once we see that reversal and it comes up and it actually tests the EMA line, holds above, that's the confirmation you're looking for. So first confirmation. And then the second confirmation you look for is 3 green bars, basically three 1 minute bars, candlesticks, whatever you want to call it. I call them green bars, I'm sorry. That's the term I commonly use. You want to look for those 3 above the EMA. And that would be confirmation number 2. So a potential entry point would be here. Me personally, being a conservative trader, I don't like that because of the fact that we're still traveling under the VWAP and that could reject at the VWAP and come back down. And we didn't see that happen here. Technically it kind of did because it went up and came back down again, but I wouldn't love to take entry at this point, right? What I prefer to do is take entry finding 3 solid green bars above the EMA and the VWAP. So for example, price comes up over EMA, comes down, bounces off the VWAP and the EMA line. Check 1 and 2, right? Check those boxes. Third thing you want to have is confirmation above VWAP. In other words, we want to see 3 solid green bars. This is an example of 3 solid green bars that are closing above VWAP and the EMA line. Okay, so looking at that, I would probably consider taking an entry here. And the price continues up. Look at that, tests the EMA line, bounces off and comes up again. Okay, so me normally being kind of a conservative trader, I'd consider after it bounced off the EMA and holds, I would come up here and I'd wait for the RSI to get as high as it possibly can. In other words, RSI is up over 70 right here, right at this peak. It's probably right where I try to sell. So I try to sell somewhere in this range. That would give me approximately a 7% return. Now that's huge. When I'm day trading, a 7% return is almost 2 days worth of trading because oftentimes I like to shoot for anywhere between 1 to 3%. So if I can grow my portfolio by 1% total with that 7% gain in 1 day, I'm good to go, I'm done for the day, and I'm happy as a clown. All right, so that's kind of what I look for. Those are the things that I identify that really help me. Again, you don't have to be super conservative like myself. You can be risky and jump in right here and get more reward. But you see it comes back down and reverses, and if it could, and it possibly lost there and came back down, you would have been out all of your gains, right? Take profit when you can, be smart, be intelligent, and use these indicators. They're here for a reason. Okay, so hopefully you found benefit from this. This is an example of what I would do in this scenario for MBL. Moving forward, just to clarify, best thing to do is to wait for confirmation. Price is under EMA, not a good entry point. Wait for the price to come down, bounce off of the VWAP, the VWAP will increase inevitably, and get your confirmation. Wait for the 3 solid green bars in the 1 minute chart, or 2 solid green bars on a 15-minute chart. That's better confirmation for swing traders. And then just wait for the price to be over EMA and the price to be over VWAP. Those are like 2 of the best solid indicators you could find. And of course, write it out until the RSI jumps over 70, and then wait for the RSI to start coming back down And once it comes closer to 70, you exit your position, take your profit. All right, so again, that's all I have for you today. Thank you very much for joining me here. We'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. Oh, don't forget to join my Patreon account, show your support, and or my Telegram community and Discord channel. It's all in the description below. Have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you soon.